Hello and welcome to week 5 of Coaching Principles and Leadership at Concordia University. I'd like to take this time today to share some practical guidance on implementing a character education program with your athletes. I'd also like to follow this by a quick discussion on integrity, which is vital to this week's topic in Chapter 4, which is Coaching for Character. You'll also find under this week's assignments folder some lessons I wrote recently on integrity for a youth organization that I work with in the off season. Over the years, I've worked with a number of coaches on character education. Most often, we break down the year into two parts, and that would be the in-season and the off-season. Obviously, you have more time in the off-season to spend the necessary time and effort to develop concepts relating to your core values and principles that you value within your program. The in-season can then be used just to capitalize on these ideas that you've shared. So, for example, at San Juan Hills, we take the off-season time. We usually get about 30 minutes every 2 to 3 weeks in what we call a tutorial period at our school to be able to share lessons, stories, and questions and discussion on the topic of the day. Obviously, you may not have this built-in time to your school day, but it can also be used, shortly before practice starts, maybe after practice, or maybe at the beginning of a meeting that you may have with the team. Then during the season, we choose a theme of the week that builds upon many of the concepts and ideas that we've covered in the off season. And this has been the most practical way of implementing a character education program within our team. And that leads me to the discussion on integrity because it provides us a quick view or window into coaching for character. So what is integrity? If you look up the Latin translation of the word integrity, you get the word wholeness or something similar to that. When something is whole, it's complete. It is not lacking in any part. I believe there are 3 dimensions to a whole person, and that is body, mind, and spirit. Often we look at one of the areas but are lacking in another. We spend too much time on the physical development of our athletes and we fail to engage the mind. Or sometimes a person is too into head knowledge and they don't care for themselves and their body. Or sometimes we can become too spiritual and we have a difficult time relating to others. In any case, a whole person is someone who has been able to integrate the 3 areas I just described. In Hebrew, the translation of the word integrity gives us the word uprightness. For example, in Proverbs 10:9, it states, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out." I believe the foundation of integrity lies in our character and our honor. Our character would include our actions and behavior, which over a period of time would give us our reputation and our personality. Our honor is the beliefs we have or the code we live by. For example, the West Point Cadet Code of Honor states a cadet would not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. At San Juan Hills, we use the Code of the West, which is an old cowboy code that gives us 10 principles to live by. The textbook presents us with an interesting question. It asks, if you could do whatever you wanted without any consequences of being seen by others, would you tend to be kind or unkind, honest or dishonest, trustworthy or untrustworthy, faithful or unfaithful, responsible or irresponsible, self-controlled or out of control? In one of the lessons I wrote on integrity, which I included on Blackboard, I stated or posed a similar question. What would you do if you could lie, cheat, or steal and not get caught? The reason why these questions are important is because Our beliefs and actions related to dishonesty matter. Why is that? Well, studies show that early dishonest decisions in life make it easier to continue to act dishonestly. Once you commit one dishonest act, your moral standards loosen and you weaken the code you live by. When this happens, we usually rationalize it by saying, well, everybody else is doing it, or they won't even notice, or I deserve more or better. So what are some ways to live with integrity? Well, I call this checking yourself. And I discussed this in part 3 or lesson 3 on integrity. The first is self-examination. The second is self-awareness. The third is selflessness. The fourth is self-worth. There are also ways to inoculate yourself from the temptations or the people that surround us who could have a negative influence on us. And that is self-talk, choosing your friends wisely, knowing and being firm in your honor code, and finding a mentor. All of this I go into in more detail on the lesson. This is just the tip of the iceberg with regard to character education. And hopefully through the reading in the textbook and in the book by Joe Ehrman, you will gain some more perspective and guidance on how we can develop our athletes from the inside out. I also hope the lessons that I've included will be a resource for you now and in the future. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I would be more than happy to help you if you are committed to pursuing character education with your team.